Oh, wow, that was fast. Hello there. I wasn't expecting anybody to be in the chat already. You're ready. We're ready for today's stream. That was super fast. I didn't even know you could get there fast and not that fast. You're just like on my channel, of course. I'm excited for today's stream. It's gonna be good. I'm freezing. I won past like 3 times. Did you? I'm not keeping track. I feel like Not Streamer has won. But if it's just between you two, I'm not sure who's won. Apart from, of course, both of you. Uh-oh. I think there's an issue with my... Is this getting louder? Is this working? I feel like this thing's normally green when it's working. Is my microphone working? Or is it picking me up from over there? I can't tell. You hear me, but can you hear me clearly? I'm trying to... My computer is so loud. My laptop is so loud because it's so old. And I know my microphone's picking it up. So we'll see. I'm trying to keep my microphone kind of like away from my computer if I can. Clear? Yes? Okay. When I hold my microphone closer, does it get a little bit louder? We hear you, but the mic isn't working, I think. Okay, thank you. That's what I was looking for. Okay, thank you, Tex. Let's see if I can fix this. I want everything to be perfect for the stream. It didn't get louder. Okay, because I think it's just picking up my audio. Let's see here. Unplug it. Yeah, that's not. If it picks up. Okay, is this better? Now it's green. I feel like that means it's listening. That's why we get along so much better. Okay, cool. Yeah, my laptop is super duper loud, so I need to remember green means good. Blue just means the power's on, so. Okay. Thank you for that, guys. Thanks, Brad. You saved me because they were like, yeah, it sounds good. Just get to the review. And you're like, well, we can hear you, but your freaking loud ass computer is also very well heard. I'm excited for today's review. We don't want any derailments. We'll see. We'll see what happens. My actual plan is to not look at the chat for massive amounts of time. So we'll hope for no derailments. Just know that I will not be looking at the chat. So for a bit, I won't be looking at the chat. But you got to give me a second. We can talk behind Missy's back. Yeah. Offended you won't be listening? Or offended that they don't want your derailments, Text? You always have the best derailments. I'm easy to derail. Let's be real. Super easy. The first time I streamed, this kid with the username Mike Hawk was like my first chatter or something. And he kept like, yes, okay. He got me to say like 5 different things. He got me to say like Jack Me Off, because he's like, oh yeah, there's this book by Jack Mehoff. And I was like, oh really? And I was like, gosh, I'm an idiot. Like he said something else crazy, but man, it's just Bart Simpson visited my stream, the very first stream I ever had. So that was nice. Best introduction to Twitch. Yeah, I loved it. I also got like a pervert, I think, that same stream, which was also a good introduction to Twitch, I think. Cherry's not here yet.
Gotta wait for Cherry. Oh, yeah, and text. Hans Zimmer and will.i.am wrote that song, Big and Chunky, which I think is really funny that Hans Zimmer wrote that as a good one. All right. Let's see here. I think I'm going to just go ahead and get started, even though Cherry seems to be in traffic. We don't need to wait for her. She can catch up. Hello, everybody. My name is Missy. I like books. I don't like books. I love books. I love to read. It's the one thing, well, I'm passionate about a lot of things. A lot of things. Books are my favorite hobby of all the things that I'm passionate about. I love to read books. I've been reading since I was a little kid. I have no formal education in reading or writing or anything, the English language. My only experience in these reviews is my only thing that I can offer is as a reader, as a person who loves to read all kinds of books, all different levels of skill levels on books. That's what I can offer here. Is did I like your book? Was there something I thought that could be better? Was it entertaining? I can't tell you, I can't read between the lines. I can't tell you the deeper meanings, or a lot of times the symbolism goes right over my head. Okay. So, author, just keep that in mind when I'm doing this review, is that I am sure that a lot of what you were trying to put out there got missed by me. But a lot of it did not get missed by me. And I know that you had a lot of things to say in this book, and I'm going to be talking about that. But just for everybody out there, I'm not a pro. Again, my only resume on this is that I love to read. And as a person who loves to read, maybe an author would like to know my thoughts on their books. After reading this book, I am shocked that this author, Ellen, that you wanted to hear my thoughts on it. Like, you didn't already know that it was genius. So I'm surprised by this, and I feel totally unqualified to be reviewing this book, but I'm going to give it a go. So without further ado, let's talk about Gifts of Mortality. Hang on a second. In my opinion, does not belong on Wattpad. And I mean that as the biggest compliment ever. This book by Eleanor Kennedy 14. Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm not going to look at the chat, but the cover is fantastic. My goodness. Beautiful. This book is, I believe it to be the greatest book on Wattpad. So it is, according to Wattpad, it takes 6 hours and 42 minutes to read. It felt like a blink of an eye when I read it. I burned through it. I knew I was going to burn through it, just because from what I had read from the author previously, it's just very, you get very immersed in the story, and then, where does your time go when you're just traveling into a different world, right? This book is The Gifts of Mortality. And then the little saying down here says, there's meaning to having an end, right? So you're getting a pretty strong vibe just from the cover. I do love the cover. I know I've done a first impression review on this book cover in the past. But as far as the title goes and the subheading here, I think that we're basically getting the idea that, oh, hey, Cherry. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to look at the chat, but hello, Cherry. We were really worried about you missing it. The Gifts of Mortality, there's meaning in having an end. We're definitely the word mortality. Obviously, it's funny because it's life and death, right? And the gifts of mortality. So thinking about death as a gift, we already know kind of what to expect in this book. There's meaning in having an end. Again, it's right in your face, right there. The theme of the book is death. Let's do this, right? So the summary provided by the author is, The gods have no pity for humans and their impermanence. Why would they care for lives measured in years when time marches into millennia for them? The immortals stay in their city, the humans remain in their parts of the world. That is, until a human terrorist group gains control over the goddess of death, forcing her to kill their enemies and increase their power. All immortals keep their backs turned on humanity, except Samiel. And I'm going to pronounce it as Samiel, as discussed previously, except Samiel, the god of festivals and the arts. Samiel knows he isn't very powerful among his kind, or important, or confident. Yet when he learns that the humans are desperate, he chooses to do a deceptively simple thing: help them. So that's the summary that we have for this book. There's also a review on here that I'm going to go ahead and read as well. I'm just going to cheat, I guess, and steal somebody's thoughts on the review. I was kind enough to write a review of my book, and she described it 100 times better than I ever could. With her permission, I'm posting it below. Also, check out her book, Flight Risk, blah, blah, blah. It's sweet, deep romance. The characters have so much mature conversations, and you're so sweet, Eleanor, Ellen, to shout out somebody else's book in your summary of your excellent book. Way too nice. This is what Voyage avec moi. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce that. But this is what they said. If you enjoy intriguing fantasy novels with deep and thoughtful themes, check out The Gifts of Mortality by Eleanor Kennedy, 14. It explores the concept of mortality and how it gives life meaning through the eyes of both gods and humans. The story follows Samiel, the god of the festivals and the arts, who is shocked by the apathy of his fellow gods when a human terrorist group gains control over the goddess of death. Despite finding no support among his kind, he's determined to help the humans, which sets him down an interesting course. There are lots of great twists in this novel, and I also loved seeing how queerness was worked in throughout both the immortal and mortal realms. Samiel is a sweet and refreshing character to root for, who is determined to see the good in the world. A very accurate review. Loved that too. The tags are action, adventure, angst, contemplative, contemporary, death, enemies to lovers, fantasy romance, feelings, found family, friendship, funny, goddess of death, gods and goddesses, LGBTQIA, loneliness, love, magic, modern world, original, slow burn. Slow burn? Really? I don't know about slow burn, Ellen. I felt like it was pretty action-packed, very well paced, in my opinion, as far as the action. In fact, around chapter 10, I think I had mentioned this in the Discord, I was like, oh, we're hitting a climax here. It is a false peak. I was like, I'm halfway through the book, and I feel like we've conquered the villain, and we're heading into the, the rolling slope of what happens after this big event. That is that's kind of just like it's a midpoint, but it feels like a climax. I do not think slow burn accurately describes this book, but I'm going to leave all of that type of talk to you, as you are clearly a much better author than I am, or much better writer. You have a better sense of this stuff. However, as a reader, it did not feel like a slow burn. And I have no objection to slow burns. I like reading them as well. This didn't seem very slow burning. Okay, I am going back to the chat just to catch up really quick, make sure that I am not missing anything important. Pro derailment, yes, text, so I'm going to have to just ignore everything you say. Her name is Sarah. Oh, okay, I'm guessing that's the person. Okay, there was a message deleted. Oh, a spammer. I don't know what I'm doing with the tags. Oh, okay, I meant slow burn romance, since it takes forever for the leads to get together. Okay. Slow burn does usually refer to the romance. Okay, I thought slow burn was kind of like, yes, when I hear slow burn, I am thinking of romance, but when I hear slow burn in other senses, my mind does go to places other than romance. Like, I think I feel like the action can be slow burn. I read a book, and it's a book that I absolutely love, Children's Games, where it's an action book, and the romance is not key, like it's not like very, it's not a huge like romance novel. It's more of like a action adventure mystery thriller type of book, and I would consider that, like, a lot of thrillers are slow burn and romance has nothing to do with it, right? So anyways, yes, the romance could be slow burn. Okay, so I'm caught up on the chat. Now I'm gonna look away from the chat if I can again. So Gifts of Mortality. I'm going to start with my character breakdown, or setting description, go over the themes, the tense, and a little bit of the plot summary, and then go into my review. Okay. So as far as characters go, we have our main character, Samil, the god of festivities and the arts. I loved that in the past, Ellen, you had described him as theater kid coded. Which is so cute, especially thinking about Samil, because yes, theater kid coded. I absolutely loved Samil. Absolutely loved every single second he was on the page. Immediately loved him. I found him completely genuine, which is why I think you immediately like him so much. So he's genuine, he's caring, he's kind, he's fun. Big, bold underline on humble. He is a god and he is so humble. And you had mentioned in your summary that he's not confident. No, he is not confident. He definitely has a confidence issue, which is a big part of his character arc, which I absolutely loved. And I feel like most people can relate to that. And having a main character that you can relate to is, vital to the success of a story and whether or not we're invested in the story. He's also naive, he's passionate, and he is lonely. I loved Samil. As far as main characters go, he was phenomenal. I really, you'd be hard pressed to come up with, I mean, there's so many great main characters out there, but you're rooting for him from the second that you are introduced to him and for the rest of the book. As I saw that there were comments about like, oh, some people found him weird. I found him amazing. I found him so amazing. His character has so much depth. And again, you are rooting for the main character. You're rooting for Samil. He is weird in a realistic way, while being super, super funny to read, innocent. Like he's fantastic. Zero issues with Samil. He was phenomenal. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and share some quotes on our introductions to Samil, okay? Before we get into the other characters here. So let's do this. Okay. So not only is this our introduction to Samil, this is the opening of the book, and I hope everybody can read this. So this is the opening line of the book. When Samil slams the heavy door shut, the sound isn't as loud or the feeling as satisfying as he expects. So he decides to slam it again. I love that. That is goofy. That's silly. That is dramatic. He's like, we're getting emotion from this. This is one sentence long. And I already know so much about Samil and so much about what is going on in the plot already. He's upset. He wants it to be known that he's upset. He wants to feel some type of satisfaction from this feeling. And he also, that's childish behavior, right? I could see this, I love it. I love this opening. Phenomenal, right? It's fantastic. That's our introduction to the main character, our introduction to the book, the opening line. Mwah. Love that. So then the rest of the chapter is more about Samil, and we're introduced to him some more, okay? This is another one. So he's, there's a lot of talk about, he's upset about something, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets a message and he's summoned back into the room that he just slammed the door. So as he passes the final attendant, he throws the bunched up letter in the guard's face. The guard doesn't react in the slightest when it bounces off her cheek, but Samil hurries his step toward the end of the hall anyways. Again, this dude is silly. He is goofy. And he does this kind of stuff. I feel like he's upset and he's like righteously upset, but then he does things and he's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. That was stupid. And Love this. I love this. That's our, more hints into who the character is. Again, we're talking first chapter, intro to the character. This is what we're getting. This is what we're working with. This is what I'm going to call the third intro. So Samil is feeling very passionate, and this is in the summary, this is not a spoiler. He's feeling very passionate that the gods are not going to assist the humans because the humans have gotten themselves into a bunch of trouble, and Samil is very upset about that, and he's like shocked and appalled that nobody is helping, right? And we get this through, like we feel this in the very first chapter, and he wants to convince the other gods to help the humans. He knows that there's other gods who are absolutely going to help the humans in this. And he musters all of the confidence he can get. He's in a position of power among the gods. He's on the council. He should be able to, convince more people to do the right thing, or more gods rather, to do the right thing, right? So he musters, and it's this whole long thing of him walking up the steps, of where he's going to stand, of what he's feeling. He's feeling like this is really important and I should be able to, do this. And then this is what happens when he gets up on the stage, the podium, in front of a bunch of people, a bunch of the other gods. This says, Samil opens his mouth and says nothing, for that's all he can think of to say. He closes his mouth and, wide-eyed, gapes at the sparse assembly. Out of the corner of his vision, he sees the closest guard to him at the base of the stairs take a single threatening step toward him. That's all the excuse Samil needs to descend from the day. So that's our first chapter. That's our introduction to the main character. He is passionate. He is a good person. He feels strongly about doing the right thing, but he does not have the confidence it takes to back it up. So as far as it goes, like he's the humility, like this guy is so humble. How can you not immediately love him? He doesn't feel like he is in a position of respect, and it's like it's not that he's like bothered because he wants more power. He's not bothered like, oh, okay, they need to respect me. I'm angry. I'm powerful. I'm a god. It's nothing like that. It's like he's saying, this is important. We need to help the humans. These other gods surely will do this with me. I just need to tell them. I just need to convince them. And I'm in a position of power. I should be able. And nobody respects him. Nobody pays him any mind. In fact, they're openly disrespectful to him. And he's not bothered by that. He's bothered that he can't help the cause because of this. He's not bothered that they don't respect him at all. He thinks, okay, that makes sense. I'm not wonderful or anything. I'm not powerful. He's totally humble. And the only thing that he's bothered by is the fact that he doesn't have the power to sway people because of his position. So what an intro to a character. I absolutely immediately loved him. There is nothing wrong with Samil. Ellen, fantastic. Fantastic. I freaking love him. So let's get on to the next character. We have Avani, who is the goddess of death, who is the one who has been being captured and controlled by the humans, and is the inciting incident in this book. She's hard not to like too. Your introduction to her is she's kind of callous, mysterious, a little bit funny. She is godly, a lot more godly than Samil is in her mystery and her, she has this kind of like all-knowing type of presence that Samil clearly doesn't have. She comes off as intelligent and also, like Samil, lonely, which is a theme across the rest of the gods, is that it seems like they're all lonely in their own way. We have another character, Rachel Hall, who is the International Immortal Affairs Special Agent, which lets us know that the humans are aware of the gods in this world. I just assumed that they did not know of their existence, which was wrong. But that her job is to study immortals and to handle any issues that come up with that, investigate things, blah blah blah. Her character starts out as kind of like a cranky type of character who has her own life to deal with, and basically gets irritated by other people. When she meets Samil, she is the same as the other gods. Even though he is a god, she doesn't take him seriously either. I mean, he's the god of festivals and the arts. Why would she take him seriously? It's like, he's a god, chick. Like, please. Nobody respects him. They treat him almost like a child. Eventually she has a character arc where after she realizes how genuine and caring Samil is, she softens toward him. And she doesn't necessarily think of him as simply the god of drinking and dancing, or drinking and partying, or whatever. Again, she softens to him, and she teaches him lessons on mortality and she comes close with him in the very short time that they spend together, while they're trying to investigate and free the goddess of death from the terrorist group that has taken them. And then, so that's Rachel, who is just another really great dynamic character. And then we have James Cleaver, who is he's the villain, the human villain who takes death and tries to, and controls her to do his bidding or whatever. And I feel like he is a caricature of a villain. And we'll get to this later. I want to talk more about, well, talk more about James later. As far as him being a character of villains, he's arrogant and ignorant and power hungry and in my opinion, stupid. But he is, again, a character of a villain. Just somebody wants power, and that's all he's really thinking about. He doesn't have a lot of depth to him. So, anyways, taking a small break to look at the chat. So I'm gonna be backed up. I'll have to watch my I'll have to watch my stream again later to see what you guys were responding to. Samil is my one and only son. I'm Samil. We're all Samil. This praise for the opening is so nice. Oh my gosh. Well, it's a fantastic opening. Alyssa behavior, to be honest. Someone make me an audio book. I want to. Cherry, you've got to read this. Maybe I'll read it to you. Maybe we'll just get in I'll record it and read it aloud. I can call you before bed. Oh, yeah, Ellen had the same idea. I'm a Samil fangirl as well. Dang, this is some top tier character analysis. Chat paused due to scroll. Oh, whoops. Dang, this is sometimes so much extra work. Yes, someone read it to me. Yes, Cherry, we'll have to read it to you. It's so good. 6 hours and 40 minutes. I can read that to you. No problem. Okay. So let's talk about this. Scroll up and back down. Is it still paused? I think it's good. I think we're good. It doesn't have that pause button on there anymore. Okay. The setting. I want to get into the setting and a little bit more to fix the pause. Okay. I'm guessing it's done now. Okay. A world where, so the setting is a world where humans are aware of the polytheistic gods who take a very passive role in their lives. So again, I had mentioned earlier, the humans are aware of these gods. They, surprisingly, I mean, what becomes known becomes mundane, right? So they don't really talk about it. They don't really think about it a ton. The gods don't have a lot of a role in this. So this is kind of a further character review here, because the other characters are the gods. We have the Celestials, which are the gods that came into existence by the sentience of humans, meaning when the humans became sentient and they think, oh man, it's raining, or I need it to rain, I should pray to somebody, then the god of weather came into being, type of thing. Such a cool concept. I absolutely love this. It kind of reminds me of Dorian Gray, the book Dorian Gray. If you guys haven't read it, very interesting book. I love the classic horror books, but basically uh, this artist is painting a photo of this beautiful young man that he finds, Dorian Gray. And as he's painting it, he basically like worships Dorian through the painting, and he's an exceptional artist. And then the because of his worship of Dorian and how beautiful, and his worship of just youth and the like the embodiment of youth and beauty that Dorian is, and while he's basically doing it through his painting, the painting becomes kind of this supernatural, has this supernatural quality, which is the premise of the book. But that's kind of what it reminded me of, is that we can breathe like magic with just our thoughts. So that's kind of what the Celestials reminded me of. So there's Celestials as one group of gods, and they're in charge of everything. And there's Elementals, Cherry. There's something called Elementals. And these are the gods who came into existence at the creation of the universe. So we, and it's broken out so beautifully. This world building is fantastic. So, they don't like each other. The Celestials and the Elementals do not like each other, okay? It's because the Celestials came into power, and the Elementals are like, what? Like, you, the god of this. So I'm going to read this little quote from the book. Nepheus, god of the seas, sits on the council in the spot of Kashila, goddess of water. So basically the human, there's the celestial, the ones that the humans pray to, is the god of the seas. But there's Kashila, the goddess of water, who feels like, no, I'm water. You're just this, like the seas. Like, they're different, right? They're different but the same. And the Celestials are the ones who are in power, right? Odar, the god of the heavens, takes the throne of Asil, god of air. Satif, goddess of the lands and islands, is watched with envy by Durrana, goddess of the earth. And in the Elemental's eyes, Nevin, the goddess of life and light, has stolen the crown and title from Malik, goddess or god of the sun. So see, there's like, they don't like each other, but they're the same. Very, very cool world building. I absolutely loved it. I don't know. It's fantastic. So that's the setting that we're working with here. The theme of this book is clearly death, but I feel like it's also art. We spend a lot of time with both themes, death and art. The themes, though, dude, they are heavy topics and just perfectly executed. I absolutely loved this, and I will get into that later. The tense and point of view is it's present tense, which is my least favorite tense. I definitely prefer past tense. However, the reason why I don't like present tense is it comes off as cringy. This book in no way came off as cringy. It just does a fantastic job of immersing you in the story. I forgot that it was present tense immediately. It was third person, so my least favorite style book to read is present tense first person. This was present tense third person. Phenomenally done. It's fantastic. And there's multiple points of view throughout the book. So we have Samuel, we have Rachel, and you get to experience it through the villain's eyes as well. Like, there's multiple points of view. It's a lot of fun. Yes. Okay. So again, plots. I have a little plot summary here. Some humans figured out how to capture and control the goddess of death. They use her to basically hold the world hostage, basically killing off different leaders throughout the different countries and governments or whatever, and saying like, oh, all of the money has to come through us. All of the power has to come through me, this James Cleaver and the new supreme regime. If there was a villain organization and they called themselves the new supreme regime, I would immediately just be like, these guys are just a bunch of dorks. Like, let's not listen to them. I was like, it's just because it rhymes. And because it's like, how heavy-handed are you seriously going to be? New supreme. And then using the word regime after supreme regime. It sounds like a burrito at Taco Bell. Come on. So I think that was funny. Anyways, so the new supreme regime finds a way to control the god or the goddess of death, And so that's the premise of the book. The celestial gods decide to just let the whole thing play out and do nothing about it. They think in terms of millennia. They're thinking, okay, well, if the humans die, they die. And one of the lines in the first chapter is like, we don't need them. Like, which I thought was really interesting, that the celestial gods who came into being because the humans thought them up, think that they don't need the humans. I'm sure, and this doesn't ever play out. I thought that this was where the story was actually going for a while. I was sure that if all of the humans died, that the celestial gods would go with them. I thought that that's kind of where that was going. But the celestial gods didn't think that, and it wasn't a plot point in the book, but still, the arrogance. Come on, guys. And the arrogance is a very common feature among the gods, unless you're Samil. Okay, so they decide, okay, we're not going to do anything. The Nevin, who is considered the highest, the one in charge of everything, the goddess of life and light, and Death's sister. She's the one who basically says, we're not doing anything about this. The humans made their bed, they'll lie in it, right? Samil, the god of festivals and the arts, is shocked and is like, nah, I'm gonna help them. So that's what he decides to do. We get that through the plot summary and we get that through the summary provided by the author on Wattpad. So anyways, that's the premise of the story. However, the plot does shift about halfway through the book. One villain is conquered and creates another one. Or does it create another one? There's a lot going on in the plot. So, and I will be getting into spoilers. However, I'm not sure how into spoilers I'll be getting. We'll talk about this. I'll throw up the spoilers at the very end of my review. Ellen has a bunch of questions at the end of her book, which I'm just going to go over at the end of my review. And so that's when I think the bulk of the spoilers will be. There will be light spoilers during my actual review. Okay. So anyways, that's the plot summary. So there's a lot going on here, right? We have exciting characters. We have exciting world. We have an exciting plot. Already, I'm happy, right? So, as I described earlier, as far as I'm going over the strengths, I'm going into the next part of my review. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to catch up on the chat. Let's see here. No derailments, textual, Penny on the track. Love Dorian Gray. Yeah, well, yes, I love Dorian Gray and hated him. And Dorian is about to show up in my book. I love writing Dorian Gray. I freaking roast the crap out of him in my book. I once pulled out a knife from the ground at my mother's and brought it to her. Turns out it was placed there by a shaman to make it rain. Oh my goodness. So gay. What? I promise I didn't steal that from you way before I started your book. I created gods of the arts and death because I wanted to explore their purposes. I will be getting into that. Pretty sweet concept. I know it's a stupid org name. Oh, with this Supreme Regime. Yeah, a bunch of them. A burrito. Dorian is in heroin hell, yeah. I meant the gay about Dorian, not the knife. I was like, I don't know what the gay part is. Yes. Very gay. Yes, Dorian is in heroin. I have written him so many times and like deleted scenes of him, but I do have a scene coming up with him. And mine, it's just humor. Mine is humor. My book is humor. That's my theme. That's all you're getting from heroin is humor. The auto moderators flagged the comment and reviewed it before they let me send it. I had one chatter who was talking about one of their favorite books. It was one of the classics. I forget what it was. I have it on my reading list though. And they were like, it's very gay. And then they kept putting like affectionately. And then they kept saying like, oh, it's so gay. And they put affectionately in like parentheses after every time they said, yeah, it's so gay. That's totally gay. Like, it was really funny. So I remember putting like on my thing, like always approve saying gay, like it's fine. I mean, that's probably dangerous, but this is a book club. So It popped up for me, and I'm like, stop censoring Ellen. Oh, that's so funny. I think honestly though, I've been watching a little bit more Twitch lately. Basically just Kita's stream and trying to catch textual stream. And I'm noticing that the Twitch automatically censors some weird stuff. Like it's stuff that doesn't I don't understand why it would be considered inappropriate in any realm at all. So, okay. So, I'm feisty in my word choice. She just comes to make fun of me and leaves. I know. You all. So sorry. Not. I'm not getting derailed right now. I slightly derail. Trust me. I'm getting right back to it. But textual. I always. You. It's like the worst time of day for me. Like for you to be streaming. I hate it because it's like. I get this thing like, oh, textual's live, and I'm like, I'm about to go put my kids down for a nap for their bedtime, and it is like, if my kid's bedtime routine is like 2 hours long, and then my husband wants my attention, so I'm like, it's not gonna happen. I just slammed my hand down apparently too hard on my computer, or on my desk, and my computer started freaking out. So hang on. I got it to stop. I need a new computer. Big time. You VIP'd me because I'm a real one for coming in regardless. I try, and at least I'll try to get lurking. Anyways, sorry about the detour. Back to it. So as far as the strengths go of this book, what I'm just going to talk about the opening and the MC. So, or excuse me, the main character. Of course, as I mentioned before, the author does an incredible job of getting us to like the main character immediately. I am very surprised that anybody doesn't like Samil. In fact, I would not listen to a word that anybody says who doesn't like Samil immediately. I don't know what they're talking about. This Samil is perfection. He's the type of character that is going to have character art of him, right? He is going to be the one who has memes galore. Like this, he is the main character of main characters. He's fantastic. He's funny. He's cute. He's everything. And you get that from the opening line, like from the beginning all the way through the end. Samil is perfection. So I think that is a huge strength of the book. Clearly, nobody wants to read a book where the main character is not likable. Sorry, readers of heroin. But he's a good person. You want to read books where the main character is a good person. He seeks out being better. He's so humble. Humility is my number one. If you're going to have one personality trait, it should be humility. I cannot stand arrogance. I cannot stand pride. Humility is where it's at, right? Samil is 100% humble. There's no pride in him. He's fantastic. So he's a bit of an underdog. Everybody loves an underdog, right? And he doesn't mind being disrespected, as I mentioned before. He doesn't feel bad for himself. He just wants the gods to listen to him. He doesn't care about clout or power. He's amazing. And throughout the book, he's a delight to read. Innocent and funny and good. Exactly the type of person that I want to follow, that I want to read. As far as getting us to care enough about your main character to go on a journey with them, excellent job. Okay, so that's a huge strength of the book. All of your characters are fantastic. I loved reading about your characters. I have no notes on the characters whatsoever. They're great. Okay. There's fun stuff in the book. I mean, that's a strength of the book. The world building is fantastic. You've created this really cool idea. Like, I love magic. I love reading about magical worlds. Everybody has these really great ideas. This everybody has cool ideas. That's why they write. They have this idea and they want to execute it, right? This is a very, very unique, very creative, nothing I've heard of before. And on top of it, there's so many different details that you are providing, so many fun things that we get to experience through the arts, through death, through traveling around the world. It is so, so freaking cool. It it's fantastic. Some examples of that is traveling through the art. So Samil's able to travel through different arts, right? He can travel through music and get to, across the world. He can travel through a painting. He can travel through a statue. He travels through a gravestone at a certain point. So he can travel through art, and it's really fun. Ellen takes full advantage of this and gets to and kind of talks about some, I'm guessing, are some of her favorite pieces of art, and includes a little bit of history on them, which is just fantastic. It is so awesome. It is really, really phenomenal that she gets to do that. They get to go back in time because they can travel through time as well, and they get to watch Shakespeare back in its prime, right? Which is just fantastic. They're traveling to different places of the world, so you get to learn a little bit more about the world, and just these fun places. The imagery is fantastic. That's just one small part of what's so fantastic about this. Another thing that was phenomenal about it was the scene setting. I saw a note in there that you were worried about white room syndrome, which is where basically, things are happening, but the reader's blind to what's going on, right? Or blind to where they are. I had none of that. I thought that the scene setting was fantastic and also beautifully written. Not too flowery, not too much detail. I knew where I was. You used fun words. You didn't use, there's no purple prose. I think we had talked about this. Maybe it was, I don't remember. I was talking to somebody about this. I think it was in Kita's Discord. I feel like I was talking to maybe Cherry about this as well. But purple prose is basically oh yes, it was, I was talking to Cherry about this and Kita about this, because purple prose is one of my biggest pet peeves when reading. It's the epitome of what I don't like about writers, who basically are, to me, it just seems like they're trying so hard to sound smart, trying so hard to sound artsy, that they're not. It's just confusing to read. It's not fun. The image gets lost in all of the words. It's overly complicated, and when it doesn't need to be, why use a $10 word when a $1 one would do, or $5 one will do, so like, there's nothing like that in this. It is very well done. I enjoyed reading it. So that's another thing, is that the scene was set beautifully. I want so bad to just give all of my plot points and jokes to Ellen and have her write my story for me, because the way that she writes is so beautiful. Like, this is just somebody that knows a lot of words, excellent vocabulary, knows when to pull them out. Very fun way of reading. I absolutely loved it. Another thing that was very fun about this book was the gods that are described and all of their powers, which was really cool. There was so much to love about this. There's so many scenes. There's scenes from the gods' points of view. I especially loved the one, I especially loved the ones where it's after death is released, and how the gods react to that, where you get kind of an introduction to more of the gods and how their power works and what motivates them. And wow, it was so cool. So much magic. It was phenomenal. So here we are. We've got great characters. We've got a great writing style. We've got great we've got an excellent world building, a really interesting plot. So that alone gives me an A+ rating, right? This is already one of my favorite books ever. Because based off of just these commercial, like general fiction themes, right? But wait, there's more. This book is not just some this commercial fiction type of book where you have a fun plot, a lot of action, cool world building. That stuff is great. This book also deals with some very heavy themes. And again, in this really well written way. So the themes are death, obviously, but also art. Um, when I okay, going off of going off a little bit. So when I started this book club, I wanted to talk about my favorite hobby, which is reading and writing. And I was really, really nervous because I have not. I've met a lot of writers who I absolutely love on Wattpad, but if you go onto like places like Reddit, you'll find, and I want to talk to somebody about Dostoevsky, or Jane Austen, or some of the other books that I've read. I get people just, it's just a circle jerk of people trying to sound smart and trying to sound like they know so much, and using words that I don't have a background, like an educational background in reading or writing or anything. Again, I'm just a fan. And I also, I don't have the mind of someone who likes to dissect a work and to think deeply about what I'm consuming. I like to just think about the characters, think about the plot, think about how it made me feel. I take things at surface level. Occasionally, I will dive deeper into a work of art, music, or writing so I can appreciate it better, by like seeing what other people thought. But I rarely come up with the same conclusion that other more intelligent people will come up with, right? Somebody will notice the symbolism in a painting that I absolutely had no idea about, or we will read the same book and have completely different ideas of the characters and what their motivations were, right? And it's just because I'm reading it for entertainment for the most part. And in general, writers have been told from a young age how bright they are, and oh my goodness, you are so smart for your age, and that just carries on into adulthood and turns into this nasty thing. And they can be a bit uppity for my taste. So I was really nervous starting this book club, because I did not want those people to come to my book club and try and sound smart, because I'm not trying to sound smart, and because I can't. I would sound like an idiot if I was trying to sound smart, because I don't have the background or the knowledge or the ability to really, really dive deeply into these works, right? That's not me. I have a very wide range of what I like. I have a low bar, and that it applies to everything that I enjoy, to my TV, to my music. Like, I like everything from like the most garbage hip hop to, the most well-respected classical music. Like, I love everything. I feel something for everything. Usually I will pick something that's going to make me laugh. I'll pick music that gives me energy. It's a lot of rap. I will find, if I'm reading a book, I want characters that are fun to read. Like, is it fun to read? I don't want something that's going to make me depressed. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to grow as a person? I'm already perfect, right? So that's kind of where I am as a reader, right? And where I am as in this book club, or in doing these reviews. And I didn't want people coming in and using words or concepts that I didn't fully understand. Again, it just always comes off as people trying to sound intelligent. I loathe arrogant people, as I know I have mentioned in the past. And these types of discussions, they get an immediate eye roll from me. If somebody uses the word juxtaposition, I want to just roast the crap out of them. So anyways, that's where I'm at. I always prefer something that I can make fun of, and maybe it makes me superficial and shallow because I prefer to focus on happy and funny things. But I always, when I am reading, I focus on the way things make me feel, because that I'm a very deeply, I feel things very deeply. I feel things passionately, right? I'm a highly emotionally driven person, and so that's what I like to do. I like to focus on how this made me feel. If it made me feel something, I consider it a good book. If it made me laugh, if it made me excited, if it made me think about this book. You ever read a book with an interesting concept, maybe somebody who can travel through space and time, and then you think, oh, I wish I could travel through space and time. After I read Elemental, I thought about what type of elemental would I be? Or if there were elementals in the world, what would they do? Blah, blah, blah. Like there's kind of worlds that I like to step into, that I like to think about how they make me feel. And that's what I consider a good book. This book was the perfect balance for me. I got to feel the importance of what was being discussed. In some areas, it was spelled out for me. In other ways, it was underneath the surface. I got to absorb the feeling of the heavy discussion in a very natural way. So it was just like I just got to experience it, right? So that the heavy themes in this book are so well executed that even a dumb like me was able to understand and enjoy and feel them. And I will be carrying some of what was said in this book into the rest of my life. I know it. I know that some of these quotes I will be thinking about forever. You know, you read these books and you think, okay, like, oh, I'll never forget this scene and I'll never forget this. And you do it subconsciously sometimes, but other times you like, I know I'm going to be repeating some of these words to my kids as they grow up. And if they ask about death and if they ask about art, you know, if it, like, I know this book has an impact. I loved this book, obviously. Gosh, I'm so hot. I'm getting hot, guys. I started off freezing. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about this book. The exposition of this book, it is so meta. And I know that you had mentioned this. Whew, I'm going to strip off a little bit here for just a second. This book has like they're having conversations about death. And it's so cool because they have a discussion about art and how art allows the person enjoying the art or looking at the art to basically process certain themes at a distance. And while I'm literally doing the exact same thing, talk about meta. I loved that. So we can look at a painting of a witch being burned at the stake. We can notice the symbolism of someone being destroyed for being other and being ostracized for being other. And we can feel empathy for that person in the painting, but that they don't exist in real life. So we can feel the same pain in an artificial way while connecting it to our real life. And art is important. So that's an important thing. That's a really, really cool theme to discuss. It's very like, they're just discuss. It's a conversation about two people discussing art and the importance of art for the god of festivals and the arts, right? And it was so cool because again, I got to experience that. I got to read that while I was experiencing it. It was very, very cool. So I'm reading this and it's like, oh, I'm doing that. I'm learning things while enjoying this art, like, or while reading this artwork. It's like, amazing. The themes, again, amazing. The character arcs. Okay. One of the things that was kind of discussed in this book was are people just the sum of their parts? Should we judge them by this is the thing that got me. Should we judge them by the worst thing that they've done? And Samil, being a very sympathetic person, good person, understanding person, says, no, we should not judge them by the worst thing that they've done. They are not the worst thing that they've done. They are so much more than the worst thing that they've done. I am actually kind of a harsh person. I would not say I'm judgmental because I understand people making mistakes. I understand people wanting to, improve. And I think that everybody can be redeemed. I fully believe that the worst person in the world is capable of change and forgiveness. However, especially in fiction, I 100% believe or do judge people by the worst thing that they've done. If there is a character in a romance and they cheat on their girlfriend, I'm immediately going to hate that person and think that whenever I think of that person, they're a cheater. I don't need to know more. I do not need to know more. They are unworthy. I don't need to know more, right? So I am constantly doing that, especially in fiction. But honestly, we do that in real life, right? And that's the thing. when I read fiction, I'm living in a fictional world. I think of the characters are black and white. Are they good or bad? Are they entertaining to read or boring? Which usually I don't care if they're evil as long as they're entertaining to read, I'll still like them. And this book forces me to think of them like they are actual people, right? In a world where people are continuously considered as numbers in a statistic or a means to an end, this book reminds me that a person is so much more than a person. That there's depth to absolutely everybody. There are people connected to those people. And as it is written in the book, there is a web of people connecting to them, and people can change so much. And we should not reduce them to the worst thing that they've done. Each character has their own journey throughout the story. So going back to what each character goes through. Each character has their own journey throughout the story. They all change, which is surprising for the Immortals. And I felt that I could grow with these characters. So, anyways, that is kind of what I was thinking with as far as the strengths of this book. As far as my concluding thoughts go, before I get into more of my favorite quotes and then go over some of the questions in the back of the book, I should say I am so picky about the books that I recommend to people because I like and find enjoyment. I find enjoyment in so many things. I love to read garbage chick lit, just because it's fun. It's entertaining to me. I like to read comedies. I like to read. The last thing that I am is a serious person, okay? I have a lot of stuff that I like. Chick lit, fantasy, sci-fi, Kamingo Phage. I like it all, right? And especially since I've discovered Wattpad, it does not need to be perfect for me to read it and to enjoy it, okay? I will find something to like about your book. If you write a book, I will find something to like about it, okay? So that means that I am very, very careful about I don't know. Sorry, I'm very careful about what I recommend to people, right? So there are a handful of books on my Wattpad page where I say basically my highest praise that I can provide is my book list that says would pay to read if I had to, which is an understatement, really, because I've bought books. I've bought a lot of books, and sometimes books aren't very expensive. But basically, I'm saying, like, I don't believe that this book is the tier to where it should be offered on Wattpad for free. This book should be published. This is a book I would recommend to a friend who's looking for their next read based on their interest, right? The Gifts of Mortality is one of those books I will recommend to absolutely anybody, anywhere, anytime. I will send them the link to Wattpad. I will tell them to download Wattpad to read this book. This book is absolutely 100% recommended by me. And again, as I said, I actually am careful about what I recommend, because I'll say, oh yeah, I liked this book. I may not say I would recommend you to read to it, knowing that everybody else may be a little bit more picky about what they spend their time reading, especially if it takes them a month to read a book. This book, I would recommend in a heartbeat to anybody. I absolutely loved this book. Clearly, if you are going to read anything on Wattpad, read The Gifts of Mortality. This book has everything: humor, action, world building, love, character arcs, magic. It is not general fiction. In my opinion, this book is literature. This book discusses death and how it affects those around us in a beautiful, thought-provoking way. The language that's used is poetic and fun to read. The world is exciting. The characters are engaging. Phenomenal book. This is a phenomenal book. I really cared a lot about this book as I was reading it. I really cared a lot about doing the book justice in my review, which I really hope that I did. I absolutely loved this book. It is so freaking good. I hope that I was specific enough in me saying that I liked it. Oh, thank you, Cherry, for sharing sharing a link. I should definitely do that. So again, oh, and I am going to hang on a second. But regarding my thought of this book as literature, that actually means something to me. When I call a book literature, literature is in the eye of the beholder, right? So there's a difference between literature and genre fiction, okay? So there's a literature section at the library or in Barnes and Noble or whatever. Literature, usually, you think Shakespeare, you think Jane Austen, you poetry, stuff like that. Genre fiction is more like thrillers, romance, fantasy, sci-fi, stuff like that. Though this is a magical setting, I 100% believe that the magical setting is just a medium for the message that is coming across regarding the deeper themes of death and art, and how we interpret art. So again, this is literature level book, in my opinion. I absolutely loved it. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Loved it. So, let me see here. Now I'm going to go into my recommendations as far as opportunities for improvement on this book, which are minimal. And again, Ellen is about 10 billion times better of an author for me. And usually when I make recommendations, and I always make recommendations when I'm reviewing a book, because that's the point of getting a book review, especially from me, who I will absolutely be honest about whether or not I like a book or not, or if there's any recommendations for it. I always provide recommendations based on where the most need is, right? So think of it, if somebody comes up to you and their arm is chopped off and you're a doctor, you're not going to fix their cavity before you address the chopped off arm. So some of my reviews, I will address the chopped off arm, even though they have cavities and maybe they've got like a crick in their neck or whatever. Like, this book has no chopped off arm. There's no massive need. So basically, I just want to say that I was looking for things while I was reading this. This book is perfect. This book does not need my help whatsoever. But I am here to help. So here is what I came up with as far as what we can do. I think that so bear with me here. Okay, you got your list of revisions pulled up. Okay, the first chapter, which you had said you think is what needs the most work, and I also agree. I think that the first, and everything's broken up like chapter one, or chapter one, part one, and part two. I think both parts could use a little bit of work. I think, and generally, it just should make us more curious about the plot as a whole. So far, like in the early parts of the book, all I'm working with is the summary as far as what did the humans do? Why is this a major concern? And again, not a lot of people will read the summary. So when you are in the first chapter, you should be talking a little bit more. I think there's also a lot of imagery in the first chapter that I think is a little bit unnecessary. I think that the first thing that we should focus on is you don't have to give anything away, right? We should just be a lot more curious, just hint at what the humans did, Hang on, I'm cold again. I'm gonna put my thing on. My temperature's all over the place. I always go hot and cold because I'm talking, but it's freezing in my house because my husband likes it cold. So, okay. So far, I'm with the summary is considered part of the. Okay. Of course, we should not consider the summary a part as the whole part of as part of the book whatsoever. A lot of people do not read the summary. They're just gonna, especially if they're going off of my recommendation, they're just gonna jump right into the book. So thinking of them as going in blind, the first chapter needs to include something that is going to make us more curious about what the humans did, because it's not spelled out in the first chapter, really. Also, I don't think that Samuel's what type of god he is brought up either. in the first chapter, which I think it should be. So just do something to make us more curious. The first chapter should end on something more significant. In my opinion, it should make us want to peek into chapter 2. I noticed that in a lot of the chapters, and I think you had seen that from my comments, is that I think a lot of the chapters ended on kind of like a nice little close, where really you should be ending them on a cliffhanger or making a certain statement more significant by making it the end of the chapter. I think that there were just a lot of opportunities of that throughout the entire book. I pointed out some of the much more like, okay, this should be the last line. You don't need to go on 2 more paragraphs after this. This should be the last line of that chapter, and which you saw. So there was that. But I really do think that the first 2 chapters, and when I say first 2 chapters, I mean the first chapter, part 1 and part 2, we could go a little bit less on the imagery side, definitely keeping all of what Samil is bringing to the table as far as the things that he's feeling about everything, the walks that he does, like the opening his mouth and then closing it, none of that needs to go. That is an excellent introduction to that character, and the conflicts that he feels. I just want more of the plot in the beginning. What is this adventure that I'm about to go on? Why should I be curious? Why should I want to read more? I think it just needs a little bit more of that. Again, what is Samil the god of? It doesn't say for too long. I think it's, and then when it is brought up what he is the god of, Rachel, I think, is the one who says it, and it's really anticlimactic. If he's the main character and he's a god of this cool thing, it should be kind of more impactful when it is brought up. Still at the end of chapter 2, and still don't know what the mysterious issue is with the humans. We should have hinted at the building or curiosity or referenced. Oh, and I do have a suggestion. We can use the other gods that you introduce in the first 2 chapters to tell us or hint more closely at what the humans did that Samil is so worried about. Something along the lines of they've made their bed, they can lie in it. There's very little to go off of. A statement like that could go a long way. And Samil is more of a they're not all guilty, they know not what they do type of thing. But just, again, a small hint will go a long way on this. So I also think that, again, I already said this, but take a look at how you break up the chapters. Can you end on a more interesting note? In most cases, I feel like you can. So anyways, this story is amazing and on the verge of being a masterpiece. So it's these little tiny adjustments that I feel like if you made them, you would, I mean, I was obviously captivated the entire time, but like, you know those books that you read and they end on a cliffhanger and you just go, okay, one more chapter. Okay, one more chapter. Okay, just one more chapter. A lot of times what I do when they end on a cliffhanger is I'll end up just like, okay, I'm just going to look at the next couple paragraphs just because they said that they saw somebody and I just want to look in the beginning of the next chapter. And, sorry, I'm freezing and I don't want to, on the thing. Okay. So I'll peek into the next chapter a little bit to read a couple paragraphs, but then what ends up happening is I read the entire chapter. And so I'm up until midnight when I have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning because I'm reading. So that's the type of book that I think you can have if you were to end on those notes, okay? So if you were to end on a more powerful note, I think that would go a long way. Okay, bye, Kita. Sorry, I was not paying attention to the chat today. Oh my gosh, did I get rated? Kita has rated you with a party of 8 20 minutes ago. That's what I get for not reading or not paying attention to the chat, trying not to get distracted. Thank you so much, Kita, again. Jeez Louise. So another note that I have here is actually on Just Desserts. So the Just Desserts chapter is great, but I think it needs more. And you have an opportunity to fulfill my dream here. So right now in the current state of the world, I'm talking reality here, not in the book. I think a lot of people are very disappointed in their leadership all over the world. I think that we are all as a whole feeling like the people in charge are simply the people with the best marketing budget, or know the right people or whatever, and they are not necessarily the most qualified for their job. And I feel like this is just the state of the world right now, and I think that it's due to a lot of different things. And I love the idea of someone who is persecuted and as a minority being the god of politics when they choose Jess desserts for the being the god of politics. And I love that because to come from a place of empathy, I think that that's a great idea. But I would also like to see, I want to feel like Jess is also intelligent and capable or passionate, and that's why they chose her, and not just some token drag queen politician. And that's just from me and my huge desire to have somebody competent in leadership. I think that it's an opportunity here. But anyways, that was just one thing where it was like, you have an opportunity to fulfill a dream of mine. So that would be cool. And not just based off of their, I think social issues have been a theme a lot in politics lately, not just in the US, but all over the world. And so I think that having social issues being basically the only reason that this person was chosen to be the god of politics, I think that maybe we could do a little bit more there. And just based off of how you've done a little bit more everywhere else in the book and taking that as an opportunity to really do something special with it, I think that there's an opportunity there. And I noticed that some of the other readers would like to see... So we didn't get the character arc with Nevin, or Naveen, or whatever, however you pronounce her name. I would like to see a character arc there. It's small, does not have to be significant. She didn't need to be on the page more. I thought everything on the page was relevant. And then I would also see James Cleaver, who was a caricature of a villain, who again, which I think was a good thing, a very powerful point, where I feel like James Cleaver started out as this caricature villain where he's just stupid and ignorant and arrogant and power hungry and not thinking things through. And Samil points out that he wasn't just this caricature. He points this out to the goddess of death. He wasn't just he wasn't just the worst thing about him. He took the time that he had left and he did something with it. He was more than that. He transformed into a real human in Samil's eyes. And I would like to see that happen a little bit more on the page. That's not necessarily, but maybe we can see that with Nevin as well. So yeah, that is that. Those are my areas of opportunity that I thought. Now I'm gonna go over my favorite quotes before I go in. So before I start. You don't think about James much. You don't, because he's kind of prosed in the beginning as the main villain. So again, you have two plot climaxes, right? The one where you defeat this villain, and then the one where you defeat the next villain, right? So I think that he deserves a little bit more simply because we go into the story thinking that he is the villain of the story. He's the antagonist. Obviously, that's not the case. Yes, I like the second one better too. And it's cool because it's like, oh no, this is the problem. It's like it's a false peak. There's a whole other story behind this story, okay? Now I'm going to go over my favorite quotes. These are the ones that touched me the most. I had so many, and I'm so glad that I decided to do my comments as I was reading it, because I would have missed out on telling you, and I need you to know, obviously you need to know how I feel about this book. But there's so much about this book that was just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I commented on every little bit of it. But these are the ones that really, really I need to share with the class about how great these are. Okay. So here we go. This is one of my favorite quotes. So Avani continues, And Avani's the goddess of death. If living is like an inhalation of breath, then death is the exhale. And then Samil says, I think that may be beautiful because he's a lover of the arts, right? And she says, you are incorrect. It is harsh. It is hard. It is the most severe truth of life that no one and nothing can live forever. The natural world hasn't the space or resources for unending life, so it created the boundary of death. Everyone and everything must die, must end. It is a hard, unyielding fact, and I seek to meet it with softness, with kindness, with the flexibility that molds to the needs of the dying. That is beautiful. That is so, so beautiful. I absolutely love that. I love this quote. The way that she says, like, basically, it's hard. And then saying that basically it created a boundary of death. Like, basically, everything has to have its end. Otherwise, it'll be nothing or whatever. I loved this quote very, very much. I'm sure I commented on it. This was phenomenal. A great way to think about something as heavy as death, which, you know, this makes sense. It's like innately we know this information, but seeing it written so beautifully is so nice. Thank you. Another one, this one's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. And I think I commented that. So this is Samil. And and again, we've described him as a person who is, you know, he's the god of festivities and the arts. He's a little bit silly, and he is, you know, naive. He's sweet. He's everything. And he is in the middle of a battle. So this is Samil right now. Then he hears shouting. He hears metal clashing against metal. He hears screams of pain. So he's in the middle of this battle. What comes next is blurred by panic. Samil's mind refuses to process what he sees and hears. It holds on to nothing. He creates no new memories. So he creates no new memories. Like, his mind holds on to nothing. He creates no new memories. This one, for me personally, it hit so hard because I'm I'm a optimist in the biggest sense of it. Like, I don't even remember bad things. And I have been through some terrible, terrible, traumatic things. I've experienced a lot. However, my mind does not hold on to that information. Every once in a while, I will experience it through art again. And then it'll wait, I forgot about that happening to me, you know? And I love that it's like how our minds protect us in these ways. But the fact that he's like, his mind holds on to nothing. He's creating no new memories, meaning like the panic of the situation is going to blur everything so that I don't have to experience it. I thought that was fantastic. It's like that's the type of sentence where I'm like, not only can I relate to that, but it's like one of those you put it into words type of thing where it's like when something really terrible happens and you can't really, it's almost like it's on the tip of your tongue. You can't remember it, you know, like you can't describe it because it was like while it was happening, it wasn't happening. And then, so you're just glad that you don't have to experience it all the time. So that was a really impactful quote specifically for me, and specifically because I can't tell you enough, like in my life, people have like talked to me about something and I have a terrible memory. I have such a terrible memory. And I think it's because I dissociate so much and I'm constantly like in la la land. So like, I remember I had this friend and I was just talking to her and she was like, you know, I'm so surprised that I was surprised that you invited me over for a sleepover because we got in such a huge fight last year. And I like before the summer or something. And I was like, I literally have no idea what you're talking about. Like and to this day, I was like, I have no idea what she was talking about. She's like, you don't remember us getting in a big fight? And I was like, and usually I can remember a feeling I had toward a person and not remember why I have that feeling toward a person. Like maybe they did something annoying or maybe they offended me and I don't remember why I feel that way. And I was like, no, I don't remember. And then I had another friend of mine in college who was like, oh, I'll never forget how rude that person was to you in front of everybody. Like I was presenting in class and this person was like, apparently roasted me or something. And I was like, I do not remember that happening at all. They remembered it. And it happened to me, and I seriously had no idea what they were talking about. And my family will do the same thing to me, where they'll remember something and I won't have any idea what they're talking about. Of course, some of the more traumatic things that have happened to me, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. I don't remember it well, and I choose not to think about it. But it's like, you know, I don't know. That one just stuck out to me. Yes, and I see what you're saying here, Ellen. I remember how I feel about things usually, but sometimes I won't. Like it's like I will block it out, or maybe I wasn't paying attention the first time. So, anyways, I love that. Now we're gonna get into my fun dialogue quotes that I really liked. That so this one I absolutely loved. This is Avani, the goddess of death, talking. A corner of her mouth jumps into her cheek. I am not killing anyone directly on this day, but I have set the table for my guests, and I feel some responsibility for being present while they eat. Oh, this was so cool. I loved this quote so much. It is so good. Basically, she's saying, she had basically set some things in motion that were going to cause the deaths of some people. And she says, I set the table for my guests, and I feel somewhat responsible for being there while they eat. And it's like, why do you have to do that? Say that so cool. I loved that. I loved that. And she has a lot of lines like that. Just the way that she talks, this character, I loved the way that she talked. Beautifully done. And then her villain. So James Cleaver, we miss his villain monologue, which I feel robbed. I need that. And I told you about that one, Ellen. But this is her villain monologue, which I adore. And this is her basically. She's been freed. The goddess of death has been freed. And this is her talking to the person who had captured her, the human James Cleaver, who was capturing her or had, imprisoned her and was using her as a weapon. And this is her villain monologue. You think you are worthy of a power you have done nothing to earn. You think you can bend and break others according to your wants and whims. You think you can treat those you see as weaker than you like a sponge. You can twist and mingle and wring us out until I am empty and you are full. Okay, so that one's particular. You can twist and mingle and wring us out till I am empty and you are full. Oof, that's so good. You think you can step on and crush whoever is lower than you to create a platform on which you rise to as high as, or to rise as high as you wish. You are wrong. Ugh. This is why it's so, and it's funny too, because you have the two, I feel like, main characters, the goddess of death and the goddess of festivities and the arts. And the way they talk is totally different. The way that Samil talks is so innocent. The way that she talks is like all knowing and powerful and ancient and beautiful poetry. She's like speaking proverbs at these people. And Samil's just like, he's just like so amused by everything and happy and innocent and wants to learn. And she's just like, I know better than you. You are weak. You are blah, blah, blah. Loved her. Loved her as a villain. Loved her. And that's the thing too, is I would have read her story just wanting to listen to her be a total badass the entire time. But she has her character arc and she does change by the end too. I love Avani. Yes, she's phenomenal. So those are my favorite quotes. I loved Rachel too. I the part where she made, like, I laughed out loud. I smiled. So I would say the first, and there's like 20 chapters total. The first like 15 chapters, I was smiling the entire time. Of course, the last 5 were a bit more serious and a little bit more heavy, where I was like just more engrossed in the story. But what a good story. What a well-written work. What great characters. What brilliance. This was one heck of a book, Ellen. This was so good. I'm going to add it to my would pay to read if I had to list, because it absolutely earns the spot. If you, again, anybody watching out there, if you are going to read a book on Wattpad, read this book. It does not belong on Wattpad, so read it while you can since it's free. Eleanor, I strongly recommend. I don't know if you have the means to do this, but try and get this published. Make your little revisions that you want to. Try and get this published. I would love to purchase this book and have a copy in my library. Yeah, I loved this book. It was phenomenal. And I can go over your little questions in the back. I figured I would. But that's my review. Is normally this is where I would conclude. So if you have any questions for me, any specific feedback on one of your characters or anything, now's the time to ask, because now I'm looking at the chat. So let me see. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, wow. I'm going way back. I missed a lot of the chat because I went off. Jeez, I'm having to scroll up so high. Okay, so there's the really loud buzzing where I had to fix my computer. Hi, hello, hello, Sneaky1234. If you're still here, I tried to write a character that was peak women writing men. Absolutely, I'm guessing you're talking about Samil here. Not me wanting to write an analysis of or to be part of the soliloquy. I have an English degree and I'm not afraid to use it. Okay, yes, you can tell that you have an English degree. The book is giving myself therapy. Jeez Louise, yeah. Hey, Dom, I don't know if you're still here. Hello, you were here forever ago. Box. Yay for mentally unstable and turning it into art. Dom, if you swing your head around really fast, you can get more blood in the brain. Very, very bad advice. Okay, Kita was raiding with a party of 8. Hello, heyo, huge raid. So many people here. Oh my goodness. Yes, just in time for the rant. Let's go. She's trying not to get derailed, so she's ignoring the chat except during specific breaks. Fair enough. Nice to meet you, Missy. Hello, Angel Faye. Nice to meet you. I don't know if you're still there. Lotus Die, unleash those frustrations. Most righteous. Oh my goodness, did they show up when I was talking about... I know when they showed up. It was when I was talking about... what's it called? How much I don't like authors. Or like how much I don't like writers or like people who like the intellectuals. I don't like elitist intellectual types. They're very frustrating for me. So I was going off on that. You can feel her festered fervor. Blood boiling. So passionate about the book. It's getting hot in here. Oh, I'm guessing that's when I took off my sweater. Must be a powerful book. And that's one of my favorite scenes, the art combo during the Renaissance. Yes, I loved that. Yes. I wish I could be so passionate about a book. My body temperature literally rises. Yes, go away or I'll start spewing feminism in this chat. Oh, and hello, Subdweeb. Are we getting shirtless Kita stream? Hi, hot mom. Thank you, KPBRK. No shirtless Kita. Man, can we might if we needed. If I get heated, it's strip time. Just when I thought Kita stream couldn't get more steeped in toxic masculinity. There's no way, Kita. Okay, Missy, did I make you into a better person? You may have. Thank you, Ellen. Oh, Missy can start stripping layers, but if I do, it's toxic. Oh, Angel Faye has Wattpad. Amazing. Yes. Wow. Holy heck, this praise. Yes, I don't know when this was, but sorry, I'm going way back. Where people are considered numbers on a page just to a means to an end. So Earth 2025, that's exactly what I was talking about, is that I feel like people are just considered numbers. I mean, that's how we think. There's so many people on the planet, you know? People are just, we're not really considering people as individuals as much anymore. And I might have something to do with how much access we have to people in general, just on our phones. They're not real, they're on our phones, and we get to see them cry and we get to see their whole lives, and people are posting their families. Like, people aren't people anymore. They're just these figments in our minds or on our phones. Anyways, and I do not have commands. I don't even know what a command is. Um, who is the mod around? Thank you, Cherry, for everything. For you absolutely did it. Okay, hang on. You also read my novels there too. I have a novel there. It has 9,000 views. I knew Ellen was flexing. I got my first Elizabeth. Okay, I'm getting caught up. Sorry. Planning on rewriting the first 4 or 5 chapters. I didn't know what I was doing until chapter 6. Um, yes. Kita left. Bye, Kita. No worries. You're good. You're getting very heated. You did, and I hit the follow button. Oh! Okay, hang on. Sorry. I'm almost at the bottom here of the chat. Maybe I shouldn't have gone back. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. I didn't realize so many people were chatting. People forget what you do. I hope you review my book, Angel. Well, apply for a review, and I absolutely will. I missed so much. Oh my gosh. But I had to. I was worried about the derailments, and I had a lot to say about this book. Clearly, used to Autumn Creates used to post on Wattpad. You probably should again. You're from the Kita Raid, and you are still on Wattpad, Angel. I like Wattpad. Wattpad has a lot of flaws. However, I think that it's a great place to meet writers. Cool writers. There's a lot of idiots on there too. And by idiots, I mean the people I was referencing earlier who just really think they're God's gift to the world. But there are, I think that there's a lot of really cool people on Wattpad, and there is thank you, Cherry, again. You're amazing. I've met just the greatest people in the world on Wattpad, and there are some really great books. This is a hidden gem. I hope that it blows up or it gets removed from Wattpad because it's posted somewhere else where people have to pay for it. But this is The Gifts of Mortality. Phenomenal book. Absolutely wonderful. I love it so much. But yeah. By the way, Missy, what did you think in particular about the ending? Okay, so in my opinion, it should have ended on chapter 19, at the end of chapter 19, part 1, where they are talking about spending eternity together. That would have been great. However, there was like 3 twists at the end of the book. And I was like, at first when she was like turning him mortal, and I was like, I kind of saw this coming a little bit. Like I had posted in one of the earlier chapters, I was like, oh, they're going to fight. Like everybody's going to be mortal all of a sudden. Like that's what I was thinking it was going. And when he was turning mortal, I was like, at least they get like his mortal life left. And then she pulls that bull in the end, and I was like, no. However, it wasn't, I'm not like you guys. I don't like twist endings. Like, I don't mind being surprised by a plot twist, of course. But a lot of times I don't like twist endings because a lot of times they're poorly done. This twist ending seemed natural, full circle, well done. So I liked the ending. Even though it wasn't happy, it doesn't need to be happy in order to be good. It was a good ending. I'm going to pretend in my mind, as I like to only think about positive things, that the book ends at the end of chapter 19, part 1. So, okay, so if you haven't already entered it into the Waddies, you should consider it. Absolutely. Although borderline, like, so if you do want to, I think that if you win a Waddy, like, I think that they're like you can't get it published or something, or like the Wattpad like owns the rights to it or something like that. I don't know. As the author, I give you permission to do that. Oh, okay, good. I want to rewrite the beginning before I would. You can't publish elsewhere for 1 year. Oh, for 1 year. Okay. Well, then in that case, I would absolutely submit it to the Waddies. Win your Waddy. Gosh, you're going to win the Waddy on this one. I mean, if you don't, I'll go and track down whoever makes these decisions and get rid of them. They're so amazing. And then work on it more if you want to, and then make your whatever changes you want to make, but and then get it really published. I will fist fight every Wattpad employee if you don't. See, Ellen, I told you should admit to the Watties. Cherry, you got to read it. This book was so freaking good. I did, but those are my thoughts on. That's my thought on the ending, and that's from somebody who doesn't like twist endings. I was when she said there is no ritual for turning an immortal mortal. I was like, what's happening here? What did she do? And then I was like, and my mind went straight to what Samil thought, which was, you turned me into the highest, what the heck? And then she's like, no, I didn't. Anyways, yeah, I don't like twists. I like a twist, like plot twist for sure. I love being shocked, and I like the, oh my gosh, this happened. I've just read so many bad twist endings that I'm like, nah, I didn't like that, where to kind of put me off of it, get a bad taste in my life. You got a glowing review from Missy, and I loved her analysis and the little clips. Those were enough to know its quality. Yes, I hope so. It was a very, very good book, in my opinion. Does not get better than this, especially on Wattpad. This book does not belong on Wattpad. This book belongs in a bookstore. You should be getting interviewed by Dua Lipa. And yeah, this book was phenomenal. I loved it. It was so much more than I was expecting, and I was expecting a lot after reading The Witch of Embers. I was expecting something engaging. I was expecting an interesting plot. I was expecting a plot twist, because you have a really good plot twist in that one. And I got everything that I wanted, and way, way more. This book will stick with me. And again, I need you to get it published so that I can have it in my library. Please. Bad twist equals twist for the sake of twist. Yes, exactly, Cherry. Not pre-planned, going for pure shock factor and no forethought or foreshadowing. Think of every Marvel movie in recent years. You should also read Ellen's other short story, Another Dead Girl. Obviously, I'm going to read it. So after I read Witch of Embers, I was like, oh, I got to read everything that this author wrote. And then, of course, I'm behind. I'm reading one book for fun on Wattpad that has nothing to do with my Twitch streaming or anything like that. I'm reading one book, and it's a long one. It's the children's games, which I talk about all the time, part 2. And it's so well written, and I have not finished it. I've been reading it for months, and I'm burned through books. I'm really pissed at myself. So I'm just constantly reading nonstop. My reading of my actual 2025 reading list that has all of my books on the shelf, I'm behind on my reading. I have a very demanding family that wants my time and attention. I have to be very strategic about what I spend my time doing. And I'm probably going to break basically whatever my next review is so I can read Another Dead Girl. Let's see here. I'm not out to my family, so I probably won't ever publish it. Don't want to have to explain why this book is so queer. Twitch, please. The gays demand not to be censored. For real. Hi. That stinks. I want it. Just print one out for me. Get it printed on a paperback and sign it for me. Another Dead Girl isn't as good as Witch of Embers. It's probably still really freaking good, though. If I had to guess, it's really freaking good. Just based on what else I've read from the author. Oh, well, and Krisha disagrees. Submitted there. Krisha doesn't know shit. Yep. Cherry's making some solid points here. You can always just say oh, I wrote a book, and then just be I don't want to share it with anybody. That's what I've done. My parents don't know about my books because I don't want them to know how much crap I talk about the parents, and they will 100% identify with those characters. Do your own thing. Oh, you know what I just realized? The author's name is not listed on your book cover, by the way. Oh, thank you, Angel. Are you talking to me? I don't know if you're talking to me or Ellen. Angel. But whoever you're following is a very cool person to follow. Ellen, I just realized you gotta. Oh yes, me. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for following me on here. You're incognito. You should put the Gifts of Mortality by a novel by Eleanor Kennedy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever your number is. You should do that. In my opinion. Do your thing though. You're amazing. You are a queen. You're fantastic. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I made really, really clear what I thought about your book. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal. So good. Would you like me to open up the author's notes and give you this specific feedback that you requested? Ellen the Fabulous is what I like to call her. And she calls you Cretia No Notes Grim. The writing is fabulous. The writing is top tier. So good. Okay. So, hey, and I'm just going to answer these questions. I did write the author's note while I was spiraling. Okay, so let's see. Character questions. Samil, some people loved him. Some felt very meh about him, which is screw that. Which camp were you in? Did you ever find him annoying? Not one time did I ever find Samil annoying. Avani, I tried to write an enigmatic character in her, so I'm sure it came off as confusing quite a bit. No. She came off as mysterious and godly. Like, anyways, I should go to sleep after feeding my 4-month baby girl. Congratulations! I got a baby boy, 1-year-old. So, have fun sleeping. Get some sleep. Absolutely. Very nice to have you. I'll check out your book. What were some parts where her actions felt out of character? I don't think her actions felt out of character at all. I know that, in the beginning, I was kind of like, oh, she's going to be like this dry humor kind of chick, Avani, and she obviously didn't turn out to be that way. She came up as more like very wise. But I think that was just more the way that I was just projecting what I wanted from from a goddess of death instead of actually what was written on the page. So I don't think that there was anything that she did, in my opinion, that was out of character. And I'm a character person. That's my favorite part of every book are the characters. Rachel, I have a huge list of revisions, and one item on it is, for the love of God, give Rachel her own character arc. I feel like she did. She starts out as very cranky and disrespectful, and she softens towards Samil, and she comes off as very wise and patient with him, as she realizes that he's actually a good person. I felt like she had like a kind of minor character arc. I think I treated her too much like a plot device instead of a character. She doesn't show up much in the second part, but makes sense because there's a different plot going on. But as far as that, first, for plot, the like up to the mid plot point, I feel like she's very important. A lot is read from her POV. I really liked Rachel. She made me laugh a lot, especially the way she treated that cop she was taking over their office. I like burst out laughing when she was like, she's like so annoyed that he's talking to her. He's just being fine. Yes. And again, as a reader and as somebody you've read my writing, it's very immature. But as a reader, I can give you what I thought about this. Nevin, wow, I treated her even more like a plot device than a character than Rachel. I got to figure out how to flesh her out. I mean, she could have definitely a little bit more time. She had her own little kind of very, very small character arc where in the end she's glad that her sister is there. And I felt like it was like a very fast paced character arc, but it happened. But she was off the page a lot. So that actually is something where I was like, oh yeah, I could have used a character arc from her. Plot revisions. I don't think that I have very. I mean, I told you all of my thoughts on what I think could be done. Complete rewrite though, I hope not, because it really, I don't want you to lose any of the magic that you had. Followers goal met 50. I got 50 followers. Thank you for all for Tenebris for following or wow. Yeah, unpublish the author's note. That's a good idea. I can't believe I have 50 followers. That's so cool. That's crazy. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think that you need to rewrite a lot of this. I think I don't lose the magic, don't lose the good stuff. Like this book I thought was fantastic, obviously. So, do you have any more questions for me? Because I was not engaged with the chat very much, I have a lot of time. Well, oh, no, I don't. I have to leave here in like a little bit to go get my daughter. I was actually supposed to, that honestly surprised me since you've rewritten it so much. That honestly surprises me since you've rewritten it so much. Rewritten Heroine. What surprises you? Oh, that I don't want you to rewrite yours? Because I've noticed that in my own writing that I'm rewriting Heroine right now, and I'm trying to change some plot points, and I feel like I lost a lot of the energy behind it. And that's why I'm warning you against that, because I feel like in my rewrites I'm just focusing on, okay, I'm moving the plot forward, I'm trying to be a little bit more making this character more interesting and getting rid of this into plot point entirely and combining these two actions into a single thing. Like I'm doing a lot of that, and it's like I've lost some jokes, I've lost a lot of the character exposure to like their personalities and introductions, and I lost a little bit of like the goal where I'm trying to align on my goal. So I feel like I lost a lot of where I was when I was writing it, and trying to get back to that is really hard, and making sure that people still think the twins are funny or think like Rose, or are getting her pieces of her personality. It's hard to capture that when you've rewritten it so many times. And I keep doing it because the fact of the matter is that I really like my idea for the book, and I don't actually like it. Interesting. I thought I saw you advised doing multiple drafts. I'm trying to think of what we're talking about here. I advise doing multiple drafts. Maybe you forgot. Yeah. Maybe some bad advice that I gave out that I forgot. I mean, you should get your book out and then edit it. I think that it's just difficult, and just based on what I've written or what I've read about from your book, I just worry about you doing complete rewrites, because it's already so beautiful to me, and it's already so close to perfection that it's like, well, don't rewrite it too much, because I don't want you to lose the beauty of what you already have. I mean, you are the author. You are obviously capable of creating this incredible work, but I'm just saying, be careful in your rewrite not to lose the small details that make it so wonderful, Multiple drafts is good advice as long as you don't lose what makes it good the first place. Yeah. Like that's just one thing I've noticed about my book, is I feel like I'm losing the energy behind it, because I'm not energetic when I'm writing it, and I'm more just like I'm just overthinking it, which can ruin a book. I mean, I feel like it's ruining mine. But can I buy the book, or is it only on Wattpad? It is only on Wattpad. Hopefully one day it will be available to purchase. That's my hope, because I will absolutely purchase this book. But for now, I'll read it for free. Pay her in comments. That's what I do with the books that I love, is I pay them with my words, which is all that I got. Leave a comment on every single line. This book has a ton of comments. Let's see. Does it show us how many comments are there? No. It shows us per chapter. Chapter 1 has 242 comments. Imagine that is 10 cents. You got $2.42. No, sorry, $24.20 if you get paid 10 cents per comment. Half of them are me. Oh, yeah, because you're responding. You know what? Pretty much all of my comments on my book are from you, which, by the way, after reading this, I was like, I feel like I already respected you as an author after reading Witch of Embers. But the fact that you're reading my book and seemingly enjoying my book and you can produce this quality of writing, to me is just like, I feel so honored and so unworthy of your attention, Ellen. So I'm very also proud of myself for not getting derailed during this review. So I think that this is probably my best review because I feel like I was able to stay focused and on task the whole time because it was important to me to do this book justice and to not just be engaged with the chat. But this is my best review on my best book. Say, Missy, I felt the same when Ellen picked up my story. Your story is amazing too. Like it's just like, and you two are just like a powerhouse. I was gonna say power couple if you were a couple. Very, very good books. And that's the thing about Wattpad is that you have people who are just throwing out some fanfic, and then you have people who are producing these really, really cool works, and it's all on Wattpad. Lost in Blue for Waddies 2025. Platonic Besties. The Gifts of Mortality for Waddies. That's how I feel whenever I get comments or reviews. I can't lie. It's the imposter syndrome that apparently Ellen has. D-Not, and by the way, D-Not, thanks so much for coming. And D-Not, thank you so much for gifting me a sub to Kita's thing. I was so excited about that. I don't know anything about Twitch. As a streamer, I really should know more. I don't know what a subscription does. I don't really know what the significance of emotes are, or anything like that. But yeah, Ellen, you are a writer. You are a talented writer. And I really, really hope that you have a published work one day, because it's so good. Sub means no ads. No ads, special emotes. Okay, well, cool. I was very excited. I got a gifted sub, which I didn't even know was something that you could do. And I don't know much about Twitch. I know I'm fairly certain that I will never ever try and monetize on Twitch, even if I had 1 million followers, just because I would feel so uncomfortable with people spending money on me. Subs prevent onset sadness from ad expenditures. I think they only get like 40% or something, but still. Oh yeah, it's a portion. But yeah, Twitch is cool. I like Twitch because I can, do this and then I post the reviews to, I don't know how to edit Jack. So I just post it to YouTube, whatever this nonsense is. So, but yeah. Anyways, great book, Ellen. It was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. I have so many thoughts. It's like one of those things where it's like, since I picked up the book, I was just thinking about it nonstop, and I was like, oh, I got to come up with a meme for this book. And then I was like, I can't think of anything that's good enough. And I just I want to reciprocate what you've given me for writing this book and allowing me to, and I can read it for free. It's like, I need to reciprocate. The best I got is a review. I don't have any great memes. I need to create a meme. I need to draw some fan art like Cherry. But thank you for writing this. Thank you for sharing it. Again, this book meant a lot to me. Which to me, as a reader who loves books above everything, yeah, that's a lot. So This was a nicer review than I ever could have dreamed. Well, I'm glad you liked it, and I hope that you submit for awards and you submit for more reviews and submit this crap to the Ambies and the Waddies and the whatevers. You like submit it to everything. Submit it to publishing houses. You know, me, I do it under a pen name. Do it like come up with a fun surname. Like the Bronte sisters. They didn't write under their initial names. In my opinion, this needs to be something that is shared with the world and not just considered just a Wattpad book. This is not just a Wattpad book. When people think of Wattpad books, they think of werewolf romances. When there's excellent books like this, it's so much better than where it is, Please do it. I encourage you, as somebody who would buy the crap out of this book and enjoy the crap out of this book, you should totally do it. In my opinion, which I just spent a solid 2 hours providing my opinion. And you were there for all of it. So obviously you care about my opinion enough to spend 2 hours of your life listening to it. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked my review. It was very important. I liked your book. I did no work this afternoon. Good. I feel like I'm going to post this on YouTube, and then you should just spend the next 16 hours watching this review 8 more times. Look what I've done. Stealing everybody from their work. I also did not do any work this afternoon, but I have Fridays. I've given myself Fridays off to be my own person. So I'm not an employee. I'm not a mom. I'm still a wife. Only because I can't help it. But anyways. Deprived this evening of feats left unfinished. Yes. I stole everybody's time. In my opinion, time is the most valuable thing in the world. So this, again, was a perfect book for me who values time above all else. Yeah. A thief of time. Yes. A thief of your attention. So good. Such a good book. I was going to say, you sound like Samil. Yep. Time is important. Time to me is the most valuable thing in the world. I have to be very efficient with my time because I have so many things that I want to do, I want to be number one mom who makes amazing meals for their kids and spends a lot of one-on-one time with them and reads to them a million books. And I want to be the number one wife who cooks and, tells my husband about it and listens to his day and spends good quality time with him. I want to spend a lot of time doing my hobbies, and I have a job, and I like to get outside, and I want to exercise, and I have to keep the house clean. And, so from the moment I wake up every single morning, every minute counts. I do not spend a moment of my time idly. I don't watch TV. I delete my YouTube app. I don't sit down ever unless I'm at my desk doing my work. When I read, it's while I'm on the stair climber. It's while I'm scratching my husband's back. Like I'm efficient with my time, because it is so valuable to me. And I spent my time reading your book and enjoying every second of it. And thank you for the joy that it brought me. And thank you for the introspection that it brought me and just the different way of looking at things. Like it's so nice to read something like this. Very, very good book. I loved it. I don't even know if you meant for it to be so impactful, but maybe because you have so much to say that just came through in your book. I don't know. I'm guessing that you meant for it to be the work of art that it is. But anyways, I think I'll just go because I don't have anything else to talk about. I was going to review somebody else's book. They asked me to just read their first chapter and give my thoughts on it. And I was going to, but they don't even have a first chapter. They just have an author's note. So I messaged them and I said, I thought I was going to read your first chapter. There's not even a first chapter. And they never messaged me back. So I read 6 books about death to write 1 fiction book about it. Oh my gosh. I feel like with my book, it's like write what you know. And I wrote about characters from books that I've read and people in my real life. So it's like Dracula, Dorian Gray, uh, different vampires, Frankenstein, Peter Pan. Like, it's like I wrote what I know, which is fictional characters, fictional worlds. That's what I wrote about too. It is so nice. Frankenstein. Very excited for him too. Ah, I'm so happy. What a whirlwind. What a high reading this book and reviewing it. This was absolutely my favorite review to do. It was so good. Such a good book. My favorite review by far. I'm reading Frankenstein right now. Mary Shell. Mary Shelley is amazing. She has so many good quotes. I need to read that book again with a highlighter. Now that I've decided that I'm okay with like highlighting in my books, I'm going to have to read them all again with my highlighter and be like, I like this, remember this. So I was taking screenshots of your quotes and I found myself taking too many screenshots of your book, by the way, because I was like, oh, I got to talk about this. Oh, I got to talk about this. Oh, I got to talk about this. And I was like, it reminds me of like certain, when you end up just highlighting everything to talk about. Not a good idea. So, such a good book. Well, anyways, I'm going to go. Thank you again, Ellen, for allowing me to review your book. Phenomenal. I look forward to, if you have any revisions, please send them to me so that I can read them and get the adjusted angle on the same story. I would love that, and give you my thoughts if you want them. Such a good book. Absolutely loved it. Thanks for listening, and just thanks for creating this and spending the time that you did this last year, creating something that I was able to enjoy over the last week. So you're the best. See you guys later. And thank you, anybody watching too, by the way, and for anybody following, because I wasn't paying attention to the chat. So appreciate it. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. I love you all. See you next week.